Welcome back. Hey.
Amazing. So we want to understand. So now you're pushing for another different level. Maybe you studied Arabic. What level did you get up to, and how did that push you now to the next question, which will be, why did you leave UAE and where did you go after that?
Yeah, so in that mind space, we also so after now so there's a whole level. So you become like like there are different levels. So you become a supervisor, manager, and then you go to the head office, all that kind of stuff. So for me, I didn't want this like manager. I just wanted to go to the head office and see what is happening. For me, honestly, I wanted to know what's happening in there. Those decisions that are being made in there, I want to know. Because that's what is informing us. Me as a staff, there's someone who just comes and says, oh, or sends an email.
You want to be part of the
I want to be that person who sends that email. Why is it someone else who's sending that email and then giving me the job to do it?
The directives.
And then it's an email. They just send it. Choop. And that's my work to do in the next morning. So for me, it will be like, oh, now don't check in these passengers from this destination. Don't. So for me, I was aiming.
At the top.
I was aiming to get there. But now, it shifted. Because now, I start interacting with people. And they are now giving me... So honestly, they opened my mind in the sense that these people, men in suits, they're just walking. So my career also, I wanted to get to the head office and also go, because there are people who are traveling in, so they go to, like, let's say Doha. Doha is Qatar. So they go to Doha, come back. So they're also like people in head office. So they are like traveling everywhere. Like they come in, they're traveling, they go to Doha, Saudi Arabia, they come back. And I sat down one day and I asked one guy, what do you do? What do you do? And they're like, oh, I do business intelligence. I'm a data analyst. Okay, go do my research. Data analyst, what is this? I meet another South African guy, smartly dressed, neatly with the family. No, now I've been changed. I'm not in the economy class, business class, first class. Economy also, you find those, but now first class business is an entirely different ball game. So I ask these people and we have a random chat. So I ask him, what do you do? He says, I'm the head of a bank, Barclays in South Africa. Whew. What did you study? Finance. Okay, nice. All right, tick. Okay, all right. I'm like, oh, I'm open to connect. This is my number. I'm now giving the manager my number. I look at myself, I'm like, sometimes I'm like,
that
ambition. This is my number. I'd like to keep in touch. But they also give me their contacts, their business card. I kept them. And now, because I'm interacting with these people are flowing through my hands every day. I'm checking them in. And I'm like, I want also, if head office doesn't pay off, I also want to be traveling and traveling to get paid. Because you're just traveling. Monday, you're going to Doha. That's your office. Come back. They're paying for you everything. Everything. So you go make the decisions, come back. So I also wanted to know those decisions. So this guy is telling me, oh, I'm a business analyst, I'm a data analyst, I do business intelligence. I pick up on that. I start saying, okay, business intelligence, where do I study? My mind now starts open. My antennas.
Wow.
And also, in Emirates, one of the perks is what? Discounted tickets.
Yeah, travel.
Travel. So now, I'm getting to travel to an entirely different place. I flew to Nairobi, I don't know how many times. I have my boarding passes. I took a picture. I had so many because it was so cheap to fly and the days off were many. And so I work overtime. So 1 week I work overtime, fly. So I'm traveling also.
So what now this is the question now. People say when you travel it opens up your mind. What did travel do to you and what did you now do next? Because you've been meeting all these people and they're changing your mind. But what did travel do to you as a person?
Travel shaped my mind. Like travel gave me an entirely new perspective. Now I'm understanding that concept of now you're still local, but you think global. And it always rings in my mind. You're acting, even here, like I'm still a local, like I'm not a local here, but I'm locally based here. But I have to start thinking globally. Like even how do I start expanding my territories, not only here. So I travel, I start traveling. I travel to different countries. I go to Europe, I go to the US, and now remember I'm working for Emirates. Another powerhouse, because now I can get visas easily. So because you're backed up by a company. So like if you're going to get a visa, like going to the US, they can see, oh, you're working for this company, you can travel. So it's now that's where I understood the power of now. And that's what my auntie was driving at, working for a certain place. Because it opens doors. This place opened doors for me. Emirates opened doors. And now, mind you, like staff, we are not only Kenyans, different people. I'm meeting people from Barbados. People from, me even I knew, I just have to make 50,000 maybe and just buy a passport from St. Kitts and Kitts and you become a citizen and then you can fly to the UK. Like there's different, like that's what people are doing.
Wow.
So there's like you find now the strength in different nationalities, how they think. I flew to Mauritius, Seychelles. Like it's beautiful. Like that was one park that I enjoyed and I utilized.
Amazing. So what next for Marlon after that? What next? Where did you go next?
So I now, as I told you, and honestly now even I also now accept some opportunities even failing off. Because I started applying even, I'm thinking of now applying to this opportunity. I'm thinking of other things. Like they didn't come. So maybe I would have been somewhere. You get? Mm-hmm. But I'm also accepting of that fact. Like your steps are ordered.
Yeah.
You know?
So now your faith is coming a bit stronger.
Yeah, a little bit. A little bit. Eh?
Gotcha. We're getting it. Uh-huh.
A little bit. So I start now thinking of Australia. So my took
up. While you're still in Emirates?
Well, I'm still in Emirates.
Wow.
I start researching. Now, I also have the beauty of an airline. So I can travel and see that university.
Oh.
So I came.
So you came to the university
I came to the university that I wanted to study in. I came to Deakin University, visited, saw how it was. Because I also wanted to feel what is this like.
Yes.
What am I getting into? I'm getting into Deakin University. Yeah. What am I getting into? So I had a uni in Deakin and I had a uni in Adelaide. I forgot the name, but now my center was to study business analytics.
Yeah.
Because I want to
be a business analyst.
Hey.
Yeah, remember the discussion with the guys in the airport.
So the discussion with the guys in the airport. So now here is where I'm informing strategy decisions. That was what I wanted.
Yeah.
Australia is now the deal. So the doors opened. Decided, you know what?
And before now, so now you've traveled, you've come to Australia, you've seen the uni, you liked it, of course. So you liked Deakin.
Actually, I wanted to go to, there was a uni in Adelaide, but I didn't go to Adelaide because I loved Melbourne. I fell in love with Melbourne. I was like, there's no need of me going. That was it. I sealed the deal. I was back. Yeah?
So now take us through the process of now moving from UAE and getting the visa process while you're in UAE. Because some people might be wondering, how do you do it? Because people say you have to go back to your home country. So what happened to you there?
So there's two ways of doing it. We have the beauty of going back home, of which now home is easier because I would get things fast-tracked, or I would get, like, if I'm looking for an appointment in the UAE, it's 1 month ahead. Kenya, and I have now the beauty of flying because I can get a few days back. Get. So these things, honestly, they were working for my good. So like, even the appointments, medical. So for me, you can do it wherever you are. Like, depends on the country you are, because you are a resident there. So you have the liberty, or you actually can go to the embassy of Australia. Like when I came to Australia, like a visitor, I applied directly to Australia while I was in the UAE. I applied there, then came. So you have that luxury. Like I applied the visa in the UAE, but I used a visa agent in Kenya because it's easier. So they got me the uni, all that stuff in Deakin. And then now, because I was now thinking, okay, if it's Kenya, I went, did the medicals, because medicals were easy to get in Kenya. UAE was a bit harder because there's many people also trying to go to different countries. So Kenya, I got an appointment. Like, let me fly to Kenya, do the medicals, come back. And also for me, it was easy because I had the airline to back me up in terms of the tickets because it was relatively cheap. And yeah, so, and honestly, like coming to Australia is not expensive. Like when you work for an airline, it's not expensive.
Now coming to Melbourne, now Australia, Melbourne, right? That's where you came. Now you've traveled from the UK, you've gone to the UAE, now you're coming to the third country, different continent.
And all in a span of 3 years. I haven't mentioned that.
All in a span of 3 years?
Three. So I was in the UK 3 years, Dubai 3 years, and then now.
Now to Melbourne.
Yeah.
How did you find Melbourne when you arrived now at Deakin University?
I came, I saw, and I conquered. I was like, I came. I loved Melbourne. Like for me, I felt home in Melbourne. One of my friends was also here. So I was like, oh, okay. They took me around also, and I was like, Melbourne is good, like, because you get to meet some Kenyans. Yeah. And honestly, I just took my time and went to the city, took the tram, the free one, went to Docklands. Like, I just saw Melbourne for myself. And always for me, in that time, I was thinking, can I live here? So like, even I'm walking, do I belong? Do I feel like I belong? And Melbourne stole my heart, like I did. I went to Sydney. I flew to Sydney to visit on my way back just to see the Opera House. But Sydney, for me, I walked around and nana. So
for you, you have that luxury of coming to see. But for someone who's wanting to travel, maybe to come and study in Melbourne, what advantages would they have as a student? Since you came here as an international student, what advantages are there as a student, and how's life in Melbourne?
The beauty about Melbourne, it's huge, but very small in a way. So, like, the beauty about it, even like Burwood, where it's called in Deakin, was an entirely different, was a city in itself. You don't have to go to the city. Like, you can even stay in Burwood for 3 months even without going to the city. And Melbourne has, for me, I came, like in terms of like, let's say even associating, for me, I liked the cosmopolitan, like different nationalities. Like you go, you're like, oh, Philippines. Because me, I could pick them out because I've worked with them. Like the UAE, if I see you, I know where you're from. I see you from afar, it's not racism, but I can picture where you're from. I know where you're from because just by seeing you or how you articulate yourself, because or how you say hi, like I can know you're from Pakistan, you're from India. Like even distinguishing between Pakistan and India is even a very slim but thin line. But yeah, you also pick up on that. Philippines, Vietnam, Sri Lanka. Different nationalities. Yeah, so like the cosmopolitan.
So you can fit in. Is it easier to fit in?
So you can fit in, like Malaysians. Like for me, I found Melbourne to be easy to fit in, and that's why I'm saying it's big and small at the same time. Because big in the sense that traveling from even the east to the north is like 45 plus 1 hour, but also small because the east is also very small in itself. Like it's also big in itself, but also small in itself. And
work-wise, is it easier to get a job?
Work-wise, I also believe Melbourne has better opportunities for jobs. Because also for me, I was also looking at, for me as a business analyst, what city or what place. Sydney is good, But Melbourne, for like a business analyst or data analyst, Melbourne is like second. Sydney is number one, but I didn't like Sydney. But IT, because IT roles, I'm speaking in IT in general. Sydney has more roles, but Melbourne has better roles and they are even better paying in a way. And rent-wise, compare Sydney and Melbourne, definitely.
Amazing. So did you feel like now this is it? Was it a good fit for you? And how was the study? And we're not going to go into details. And did you end up getting a job in the field you studied? No, this thing you've been seeing it since high school Form 2, ICT, IT. Did you finally get a job in the IT sector?
It's funny. I was an ICT prefect with no ICT credentials. Like looking back, how was I in IT? I was going for finance, but maybe God was like, hey, IT. So I now, IT, finished my master's because I came for a master's.
Yes.
And also, I also encourage people, understand the university that you're going to and the benefits that you're going to get after that. And also the opportunities you may get. Because there's also fees is more expensive in Uni of Melbourne, but also Deakin does offer a relatively good course depending on, so you have to look like, let's say IT, which one is better? If you're career minded, like there are people who come, fee wise, you can go to a relatively, IT is good, you can go to a relatively cheap uni and also get a career in IT, which is really good. So I'd advise also check the uni, check the substance that they're giving you're getting.
Yes.
Yeah.
So studied masters
in business analytics, finished, and yeah, honestly, God has now been in the process because.
So let's finish study first, then we go to the other life decisions while in Melbourne, the growth part. So did you get a job in your field? Is it easy to get a job?
Also hard, but persistence pays off. Because even looking for my break, I also persisted. I was very persistent. And I got honestly, I started, got a guy, random guy. He was working in Perth. Met up with him, like we connected on LinkedIn. And honestly, I've seen the power of networking and just reaching out.
Open yourself out there.
Yeah, just reaching out to people. And they're like, so for me, it was like, oh, you have a project. Can I help? Because I don't have any experience in the IT sector. So I'm looking for experience in a sector that I don't have experience. Me, I'm more customer service based. And I don't want customer service again. So me, I want business analytics. So I start looking for work. Also doing like as
Everyone else,
international
jobs,
as an international
what
student.
Jobs did you do? Maybe to mention one.
Man, that one also. But yeah,
maybe mention one. Waiting.
I did waiting, catering, kitchen hand. I also did. I think
a person who was looking for a job in a suit. I want people to see the perspective because when you're in that process of studying, you really have to do what you have to do to get to the end.
And I always tell people, you have to do what you have to do because you gotta pay their bills to be paid, and that's why they've put that allowance for you to work because you have to maintain yourself here. Mm-hmm. It's expensive to live in Australia, so they've opened that avenue for you to work. So utilize that aspect.
But don't get stuck.
Don't get stuck in that. Always say, if you're focused in what you want and it's going to drive you to what you want, push. Because you're going to get it. Amazing. It depends on how persistent you are.
So how many interviews did it take for you to get a job in that analyst?
I didn't do any interview.
Wow. The power of confidence and just reaching out.
I reached out. My first job wasn't an interview. Call. This guy was like, oh, you can help me out with a few things. Gave me a job. 2 months in, I reach out to another guy. He gives me a job.
And people are complaining about experience and not getting jobs.
What? Me, I was nada. I was zero experience, but me, I knew. Like, I was pushing for this because I knew like I wanted that career. I wanted to become that business analyst. And it's good I even met these people because these people opened doors that I would never
What you're doing now?
Like, I'm now a business analyst. And even in hindsight, like, I've gone for, like, my first job, I didn't interview for that job. I got it without even interviewing. The second job, I got it without an interview. Without an interview. I got my second job. It was a contracting role as a business analyst. And they're fully confident, like, I can deliver.
Because you're confident in yourself.
I'm confident. I'm selling myself. Like I'm confident. I'm that confident because I wanted this break. I wanted this break as a business analyst. So now I now get into the field. So I now understand, okay, this is IT. And now that leads to the job. I've worked as a business intelligence analyst in the IT, and it's similar, business analyst, data analyst. They're sort of combined. So I work in both, so I can shift between a business intelligence analyst and a data analyst. So I'm a jack of both.
Amazing.
Fields.
Before we close that, people need to understand that once you get that job, what did you now do? You have to now go back and get to know, what am I doing?
Hey.
What did you do in the background?
So there's a lot of research, and for me, my research wasn't those research being done, but also approaching people. One of my mentors is a business analyst, and this guy, so me, I go, I'm faced with a task. I go to him, I'm like, okay, how do I do this? And he's open, so he's my mentor. So you
also,
yeah,
yourself, you have to be open and vulnerable as well.
Yeah, so I'm
Show
open.
me.
Yeah, so he tells me, okay, what are you thinking? How do you want to approach this solution? And then he's like, okay, so you can do it this way. Think about it this way. So we open that avenue, and he's been great. Like, one of my mentors, like in the business analyst space, has been great. Like, always there for me. And even whenever, and he always pushed me. He always told me, like, let's say I've entered this gig. I'm like, oh, it's good, it's good, it's good. He's like, hey, what's your next? So he's pushing me like the way I was pushing myself. So he's like, what's next? And he's telling me, by the way, this one, I also feel like you shouldn't stay for there a long time. Move to the next. Think about yourself in 5 years, 10 years, what do you want? So the power, and probably we might mention that in the other space, but yeah, mentorship, having mentors. And for me, you don't have to start from far. Like, sometimes even people in a church, you want to start looking for TD Jakes. You cannot get TD Jakes. Start with your pastor or even that elder in church. To start mentoring, even if you're becoming a pastor or even becoming someone, start with that. You want to become that, but you don't want to start from somewhere. You have to start from somewhere to get where you are. So we have an abundance. Like, there's so many mentors, and mentors can influence or be with you in different stages of your life, and you can move. You can shift, and you can understand, okay, this is my mentor this season. Move slowly.
Amazing. So let's talk about life now in Australia. Now you heading to your major milestone in your years. So those were your formative years in the 20s. That's when you did all that you did. But now let's talk about life and major life decisions that you've made. What are some of the major life decisions you've made in your life and actually helping you to stand as you are right now? We can see that you're really focused and you know what you're doing. But how did you get to that?
One of the biggest decisions, and this, I would say it came in a way, one of my biggest like things that have influenced me now, even to where I am, because even where I'm at right now, it's totally different from where I was as the person in the UAE, or even when I came here the first year. And for me, what has been a breakthrough for even my next level is spirituality and that growth and understanding my identity in God. I never understood that. Like, Christianity and religion, just for me, I always felt like it was for different people. And I also felt like it was maybe for me at maybe 30 or maybe 50, Christianity will still be there. I never viewed it as a vital part of life. But I remember I went to church and yeah, in that space, me, I never, like in the UAE, I never went to church. Like I went to church maybe twice.
Yeah, you mentioned it.
Yeah, because it was even shifts, what, and there's no like overnight church or something. It's a different culture because it's an Islamic country, so it's different. So yeah, and honestly, it's now where I found that you need a footing and an identity in God, because without that, you're honestly walking on eggshells every single time. But if you understand the power you have in God, like Him calling you His child, man, that shifts your mindset.
So how did you come to that decision, and what has that now done to you as a man? And how is it informing your future? Other people out there, because someone might think, how can I make that decision now to now follow my spirituality and to make it a thing? Because some people think it's not a thing. How do you make that decision?
I also say that it's not a decision that you make overnight. It's not like, I always say those Christians who, because I've been there, I'm like, oh, in high school or somewhere, you're like, oh, I'm saved. Tomorrow I'm going to become a saved person. Like, this is what I'm going to do. But you don't do, you backslide. But the level of intentionality, me, I always say, I never looked for God. God came and found me wherever I was. And I wouldn't say like there are people, like God will find you in that situation. For me, I wasn't in a low point. For me, I was in a point where I wanted to build myself. I was in a point where I wanted to elevate where I'm at. Like, I want to chase after these things. I want to like shifting your mindset, like even just beginning to even health workouts, like in that space. God found me, like me, I was just in that process and God found me. And that's where, honestly, He took me, and I'm never looking back. And I say Christianity in itself, we are those lukewarm Christians. You go to church, I was that lukewarm Christian. I try to believe like I'm trying now, at least to be that Christian who is defined in the Bible. But yeah, identity in God is very key. And also, I'd also say this, grounding yourself is also very key. Because in that 5 years, when I was away from church, where was I drinking from? The world. The world still exists. The world still exists. But if I was probably even, I don't know, but there's that constancy of going and turning up, even going to church. Grounding yourself is very, very key. And religion helps you in that. You also grow, you also see different facets, maybe even become a toxic Christian there. So in a way, it's grounding yourself. And I also say like it's very key to ground yourself. Like I remember my mom when I went to the UK, she bought me a Bible. That was the gift she gave me. She was like, my son, I'm not buying you anything. I'm giving you this Bible, go with it. Have a clear-cut direction on how you transition. But one thing in terms of transitioning is accepting that transition. For every stage in my life, I had to accept that stage is coming. So that also made it easy for me to transition from point A to point B. So accepting it and also being aware of that new opportunity helps for you transition. People also help. Look for people who will help you in that next phase, because we are always transitioning. Whatever season I'm in even now, I'm transitioning to something else. And for me to get to that place, I have to find people who I can talk to, who probably are even there to even mentor me and to even guide me, or even tell me how it is. So transition requires for you to accept, and also being very open-minded, in the sense that if this opportunity comes, and now also understanding that if the opportunity God has presented you with, or you're praying for that opportunity, or even God has sent you to a different country, that opportunity requires you to be open-minded and accepting with gratitude that it comes from God, and stepping into it fully. And also, it's very uncertain. That is very true. But trust that God is not leading you to a fall. Every steps of a righteous man are ordered. So wherever you're transitioning to, wherever you're heading to, it's uncertain. But once you get there, you get the certainty. You're like, oh wow, I'm here. So also the traveling has opened my mind, and it has really given me the perspective where I can interact, and also just make a small conversation with someone, like just about the Philippines. It has really helped in that, and I always tell people, try. If you always want a career in the airline, is very open. There's open applications everywhere. Becoming an air stewardess, you can do it even for 2 years, 1 year. Being open to that opportunity. If you want to travel, that's a great way of traveling. You're traveling in the same way, earning and getting to explore. So yeah, I think God, spirituality needs to be the center of it all, and walk with the braveness that the spirit of braveness, and no fear. Continuing understanding that God is with you through the process, and He'll never fail you. That's one thing I have gotten to understand, and just being obedient to that. And yeah, just God's got your back in every step of the way. Don't fear. Thank you for watching. Socials, unfortunately, more LinkedIn, professional in a way, sorry. But yeah, Marlon Maloba is my name's in, you can find me in LinkedIn. And yeah, reach out to me, reach out to Pete, or even comment down and just write whatever stage you're at. Always happy to help. Honestly, for me, even now, I'm helping people in everything that they want to do. So whatever you have, reach out, because there's someone out there who has been there, or even knows an answer to what you're experiencing. So reach out.